Mike Radich here, and I'm now joined on the phone by World Series of Fighting Lightweight Tyson Griffin. Tyson, how are you?
Doing good, man. Just enjoying my Sunday relaxing.
Tyson, you got a fight coming up August 10th at World Series of Fighting 4. How's training been going for the fight?
Training's been going good. Everything's coming together here. Got the last hard week of training coming up, and then, as you call it, rest week. Get the weight down and make weight.
Now, obviously, it's old news that you're no longer training at Extreme Couture. I'm just curious, why did you decide to leave there?
I guess it was just more, what was going on in the gym and around the gym, like management stuff, had nothing to do with training partners and everything like that. And I just felt that, being at AK was best for my career, and so here I am.
Why did you decide to go to AKA? Obviously, you're originally from Northern California. Was that the main reason, or did you just like who was in that gym and who the coaches are?
I think it was just a combination of everything. I came out here originally to finish up, to help Gray Maynard finish up his camp against Clay Guida, and there's a lot of familiar faces in the gym. I grew up an hour from here, and just a combination of everything that really made me feel like it was the best fit for me and the best place for me to take my training and my career.
From the time that you left Extreme Couture to the time that you helped Gray Maynard get ready for his fight, did you go to any other gyms? Did you scope out any other gyms? Were there any other possible locations for you to go to? Or was it just when you started training with Gray at AKA, you knew that was the right place to be?
Well, actually, Team Alliance from San Diego was out in Las Vegas during Dominic Cruz's Ultimate Fighter show stint there. And knowing Jeremy Stevens pretty well, I kind of hooked up with them and trained with those guys. And, it was a good group of guys, but I didn't feel like it was a good fit for me and not a good place for me. And so, I guess I had one other gym in mind, but AKA was where it was at for me. I had the best guys, most experience, top level coaching, and good gym atmosphere.
Obviously, you've been fighting for a long time, but there's a lot of guys in that gym that have more experience than you, and have been fighting for a little bit longer than you. When you got in there working with all these high level guys, did you ever have that moment where you're like, well, coming here, I thought I knew a lot, but after going through the training and getting instruction here, did you ever have that moment where you thought, hey, I thought I knew a lot, but obviously there's a lot more I can improve on and a lot more that I can learn?
I mean, I've always had that mentality. I've learned that a long time ago as an athlete. You always got to be willing to learn and kind of learn everything and use what's best for you. Your body type, your style, your athletic ability. I mean, that's just a concept that I've always had. And I think the most important thing that you said there is having the level of experience that is at AKA. Nice to be around a bunch of guys that have been fighting longer than I have. I think guys in Alliance, there's a bunch of cool guys. I like all those guys down there, but a bunch of young guys, and so I feel like I was the vet, kind of mentoring them. Or if I was going to be there, I would be the kind of the old dog, kind of mentoring them. So it was nice to be around a bunch of guys that have been in the game for a long time, and to hear some things that I haven't heard.
With so many high-level guys in that gym and so many of them fighting in the biggest organizations in the world, coaching-wise, how much instruction are you getting? How much how much are they able to divide up? How much Javier Mendez and Bob Cook? How much attention are you getting there from those guys? How do they divvy up who gets what attention and what time? I've always been curious about that with so many high-level guys in there. How do they divide their time up to who gets instruction at what time?
Well, at the end of the day, it's all about who's got fights coming up first. If you got the closest fight, you're going to get the most attention, and that's just how it works. The totem pole kind of slides up and down depending on who's got the most, the fight soonest on the horizon. But at the end of the day, it's really about your training partners. Your biggest tool and your biggest asset is your training partners, because coaches can't always watch everybody all the time, and they're not going to always. There's not always every coach there from every style that's watching everything. So your training partners are your biggest asset, and that's why it's important for me to feel like I need to be an AKA, where guys like Josh Thompson or like a black belt in jiu-jitsu, he's got world-class kickboxing, he's wrestled in college, like Graham Maynard, high-level wrestler, Daniel Cormier runs our wrestling practice. I mean, so it's really about your training partners that are your biggest tools.
Mm-hmm. Who's going to be cornering you for this fight?
Not to mention my boxing coach that's been with me my entire career, Rosendo Sanchez. He's been in Santa Rosa, and he used to fly out to Vegas, 3 days a week for my camps. And now I just got to drive down to San Jose, and I get a lot of one-on-one attention with him. So that's my biggest thing. And I guess to jump into your next question there, he's going to be cornering me. It'll be Rosendo Sanchez, and Josh Thompson will be cornering me out there in Ontario.
I see. Now, Tyson, do you live full-time in San Jose, or do you just do your camps when you're up there?
I live full-time in San Jose here. I grew up an hour north of San Jose, so this is like being back home for me.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, with you leaving Extreme Couture, you left on good terms. There's been a lot of guys who have left there, but have all left on good terms. You're welcome back there at any time. Maybe not permanently, but would you ever consider maybe going back there and training if maybe a guy like an Evan Dunham or Martin Kampman or one of those guys who are still there invited you down? Would you ever consider that?
I mean, yeah. If need be, I'm always down to help a certain group of guys that are there, because those are bonds that last forever. Those are guys that we built the gym with. You got to kind of exclude Evan Dunham. He was a little bit of a late add-on, but guys like Martin Kampman, those are my MMA brothers, and if they need me, I'll definitely be there. My younger brother Kyle Griffin, is the head wrestling coach still out there. So there's plenty of relationships there that I still have, and if they need me, I'm down to help them out for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, your last fight against Efrain Escudero was under the RFA banner. You had a 3-fight deal with them, but you opted to try to get out of your contract, and then RFA granted you a release from that contract. Just curious, why did you decide to leave RFA? Because there were a lot of people out there who were scratching their head because they thought that maybe you would stay with RFA, fulfill your contract, get some wins, and then maybe try to get back to the UFC, because RFA was talking about how they wanted to kind of be a feeder league to the UFC, and it kind of made sense if you were trying to get back there that would be the place to stick with. Just curious, why did you decide to leave there?
Well, it really just came down to being able to fight often, and financially they didn't think that they'd be able to have me fight as often as I wanted to. So Ed Soares was nice enough to allow me to move on, and I really appreciate them being honest with me and allowing me to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, signing with World Series of Fighting, obviously you have a relationship with Ray Sefo from your Extreme Couture days. He's the president of World Series of Fighting. Was that basically what led you to World Series of Fighting, the relationship with him, or was it basically World Series of Fighting has a lot of great lightweights. Was it the competition, or was it the relationship with Ray Sefo that guided you towards World Series of Fighting, or was it a mixture of both?
Well, it was a mixture of both. Ray Sefo, the relationship I had with Ray Sefo is what allowed me to get to the World Series of Fighting so easily, so smoothly. But at the end of the day, it was more about business. And those guys put together a serious show. I went and watched their first show. They've got an NBC Sports Network deal on major television there. They've got a lot of fights lined up. They've got fights lined up for the year. They're ready to go. I'm just kind of going show by show, hoping that they make money. They've got a business plan in place, and they've got a lot of top lightweights, like you said. So just a combination of everything.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is going to be your second fight back at 155. Your last 2 fights, although you failed to make weight for the Pawaszewski fight, were at featherweight. Why did you decide to move back up to 155, and have you closed the door on featherweight?
Well, just like you said, I didn't make weight my last fight. I just don't feel that was a good weight for me, health-wise. If everything in camp didn't go perfect, I'm not going to be able to make that weight. And I didn't really feel healthy when I made weight against Manny Gambourand. So, like you said, I think I've closed the door on moving to featherweight, and my body's a lightweight body. I'm not smaller guy like Frankie Edgar. I'm kind of in the middle there, 150 pounds maybe, but not 145. That's just too much for me.
When you decided to move down to 145, was that just basically to try to maybe kickstart another run in the UFC, because you had 3 losses in a row? Was that basically what your plan was, to just try to maybe go down to a different weight class and maybe to try to save maybe that run that you had with the UFC?
It was a combination of everything. I was learning more and more about diet and nutrition. I was making 155 really easy, and was like, man, if I make it 55 this easy, I bet I can make it down to 45. And at the time, Gray Maynard was lined up to fight Frankie, and I knew in my heart that Gray had every skill set to beat him, and he'd already beat him once, and I was like planning on him beating him and being the champ, and I was like, man, it'd be cool to have 2 champs, Extreme Couture, and I don't want to fight Gray, he's like my brother, and so I want to move down to 45 probably, and make a run for it, like you said, kind of have another run at the UFC, and fighting Aldo was was like an awesome challenge to me. It was like a fun challenge, and so that was there's a lot of motivating factors to move down there. But once again, it just didn't work out. My body just couldn't handle that cut, I don't think, and so here I am back at lightweight.
Now, with you leaving RFA, is it pretty safe to say that your main focus right now is not to be the guy who's trying to make it back to the UFC? Because you can correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe if I'm totally off in this observation, please correct me, but it feels like you're not one of those guys who is driven by fame, and you're not one of those guys who are driven by, oh, hey, I'm in the UFC, I fight in the UFC. You don't really seem like one of those guys. You seem like a guy who's more driven by competing, and a guy who's more driven by just finding the best guys to fight wherever and whatever organization they might be under. Is that a fair assessment? You're not one of those guys who's solely consumed with getting back to the UFC once they've been released, and is that something that if it comes you'll take, but if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world?
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely motivated by competition. I'm definitely not motivated by fame. Money's awesome, but at the end of the day, you got to be having fun. You got to be working towards what you want to work towards. And that it's tough competition. If the time comes, somehow I clear out all the tough competition and World Series fighting, and all I'm doing is fighting up and comers, well then maybe I would be happy to move on to another organization, and back to the UFC where I can fight tough challenges, because again, that's what I want. But I got a funny feeling that World Series fighting is going to bring in a lot of top guys, and I'm just taking it one fight at a time, and I'm excited for the challenge of fighting Jay-Z, and that's all I'm really focused on right now.
Tyson, you've basically grown up in front of our eyes. If we compare your career to a guy coming up now, a guy who's coming up in the ranks now wouldn't be fighting Uriah Faber in his 3rd ever fight. He'd be still fighting in the amateur ranks. A guy coming up now wouldn't be fighting Dwayne Ludwig in his 7th ever fight. He'd be fighting still probably amateur somewhere. When you fought Dwayne Ludwig, he had like 40 or 50 fights combined with mixed martial arts and kickboxing. So right off the bat in your career, you were basically thrown to the wolves, and you fought in the UFC at a very young age. So we basically seen you develop, on the biggest stage, even at a very young age. Right now, you're 29 years of age. Do you feel that right now, this kind of second chapter in your career, this time right now, is really the time for you to really make a serious run in the sport? Now that you've had these experiences under your belt, do you feel that you're in the prime of your career right now?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like I've kind of, like you said, I've taken all the lumps and bumps that the MMA business has to offer right in front of everybody's eyes. I definitely feel like I've kind of went to fight college. There's not really, I think I did 2 smokers, exhibitions inside gyms, but they weren't MMA, they were just boxing. And after that I was fighting, like you said, all tough guys, all top competition, and I've learned so much over these years that it's really up to me now to take all that education, all that knowledge that I've got, and put it all together, and make another run, and set myself up for success. And I feel like I'm kind of at the prime of my career now. I got all the tools. I just got to put it all together.
Now, on August 10th, you're going to be fighting Jay-Z Cavalcante. What are your thoughts about him as an opponent?
Man, he's a tough, well-rounded guy. He can fight everywhere. He's never been finished, and he's got heavy hands, got good jiu-jitsu, and I'm excited. I'm excited for the challenge. I'm excited to push the pace and, put on another fight of the night type performance.
Mm-hmm. Going into this fight, what are you anticipating happening? Are you anticipating this fight to kind of be a true mixed martial arts fight where we see a little bit of stand-up, a little bit of clinch, a little bit of ground? Are you seeing a fight where maybe one area takes over, whether it be all stand-up, maybe all ground? What exactly are you anticipating going into this fight against Jay-Z?
I definitely expect a complete mixed martial arts fight. I think that's how both of our styles have always been. He's got great stand-up, but he pushes guys against the cage and takes them down, and I've got good stand-up and great conditioning, so, and I'm, wrestling background. I got very confident in my jiu-jitsu, never been submitted, so, like I said, like you said, I think it could be, one of the best mixed martial arts fights that you're going to see, not only on August 10th, but, maybe this year.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything in this fight that you're looking to showcase? Is there anything in this fight that maybe you're trying to prove, maybe to yourself, maybe to teammates, maybe to fans? Is there any, or maybe to the World Series of Fighting organization? Is there anything that you're looking to showcase, or anything that you feel that you need to prove in this matchup? Anything at all?
I'm just looking to prove to myself that I'm still here. I'm still here and I can compete against the best, and not only that, can beat the best. So I'm here to prove it to myself, and everybody else will get to see that. So they're not nod their hat in approval. I can't really make them do that. There's going to be haters. There's going to be people that are tougher critics than myself. Mm-hmm. But I'm out here just to prove to myself that I can still compete with the best.
Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of people who have kind of criticized you because you haven't gotten a finish. I think the last time you finished the fight was when you fought Hermes Franca at UFC 103, but I think that was the last time you got a finish. I'm not sure. I don't have it in front of me, but people have been critical of you because you haven't gotten that finish. How much would it mean to you if you were able to get a finish to kind of silence those critics? And on top of that, how much would it mean to you to get a finish over Jay-Z, a guy who I think he's only been finished once and, is very durable, very tough? How much would it mean to you to get that finish?
To be 100% honest, man, I don't worry about finishes. They come. Mm-hmm. I've fought, 20 fights now, and they happen, whether it's losing by finish or winning by finish. Those are something that come, and I'm focused on a 15-minute war. And, yeah, I'm not known for being a finisher. I'm known for being a fight of the night guy. I'm known for having exciting fights. I'm not known for my knockout power. I'm not known for my crazy submissions. So I don't really have anything to prove to anybody other than that I'm still here. Mm-hmm. I mean, you saw Roy McDonald and Jake Ellenberger in a boring fight when everyone thought there was going to be a highlight knockout finish.
Right.
That's just the name of the game. This is mixed martial arts. It's it's human chess. It's not really checkers. There's not always going to be a clear cut finish.
Mm-hmm. Tyson, at World Series of Fighting 4, how do you defeat Jay-Z?
I beat Jay-Z with conditioning. I think I got to push the pace, and the only thing I really see in his fights is that he gets tired, and he's always going to be there to fight whether he's tired or not. But I don't plan on getting tired in this fight, and I'm gonna make it a conditioning battle.
Mm-hmm. Tyson, real quick before I let you go, do you have any sponsors you'd like to thank, and is there anything you'd like to say to the fans?
Well, thank all the fans for supporting me over the years, and keeping an eye on me, and thank all my new sponsors now. I got old sponsors, Fairtex USA and Cliff Keen have always helped me. Got new sponsors now, Virus International, Onnit.com, 510 Motor Group, Tree Crew Industries have been helped me out for a long time now. Like those guys have always had my back. I'm sure I forgot a couple people, but I appreciate all the support from everybody, fans, sponsors, my family, my girlfriend. I can't do all this alone. Mm-hmm. And not to mention AKA for welcoming me part of the team.
Mm-hmm. Tyson, thank you for taking the time to talk. I really appreciate it. Good luck August 10th at World Series of Fighting 4 against Jay-Z Cavalcante.